Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on the 9th of January, 2022. We are blessed this morning to have Jenny Hooks with us to provide a talk and a meditation. Always they are inspiring. And we have Christina, Hildebrandt, and her harp, Hester, to provide us with soothing music. So we'll start with some of that music, please, Christina.
Good morning, everybody. My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear a joyful melody that cuts through all affliction, through all the tumult and the strife. I hear that music ringing. It brings me joy with every breath. How can I keep from singing? Each time I see that through my fear, a peaceful nature shining, with love of friends both near and far. How can I keep from singing? The storms don't shake me deep down, while to that tune I'm listening, with love for all beings in my heart. How can I keep from singing?
Thank you, Christina. Beautiful as always. So at this time, I'm going to light a candle to acknowledge the Christ consciousness that we all share. And we go into prayer by taking a breath together. Beloved presence, everywhere present, we are still very aware of the sorrow, the grief, and the trauma that was brought about by the Marshall Fire. And we hold all of those people in our hearts and in our prayers. We hold their animals in our hearts and in our prayers. And as we take a breath, we also express our gratitude that so many lives were saved, so many lives are still with us here on earth. We're so grateful for that. And so it is. We'll have more music, please. Thank you so much. So let us open our hearts and minds for Jenny and her message.
Good morning, Jai Gurudev. This morning I looked at the website briefly and went to, I thought I had it pulled up, our mission statement. And now I have the wrong Unity page up here. We experience deep spiritual truths by courageously acknowledging God in all. So as you all came on my screen and I could see all 9 of us, I looked at Deva and I said, "Good morning, Krishna." And I looked at Judy and I said, "Good morning, Saint Francis." And I looked at Christina and said, "Good morning, Buddha." And I looked at Bobby and I said, "Good morning, Divine Mother." And I looked at each of you and said, "Good morning, Jesus." And I looked at the dog and I said, "Good morning, Hanuman." And the reason I did this practice is because this might come as a surprise to some of you, and sadly, probably to none of you. I can be judgy. I can walk in the grocery store and see someone and say, what was she thinking? Why in the world would she wear plaid and paisley in the same outfit? I mean, just like that, I can make a judgment. I can judge how people are parenting or not parenting their kids in public. The list goes on and on. And so my practice to change this sort of thinking, which makes me laugh, which boosts my immune system, so it's so good on many levels, is to say, "Krishna, you're feeling pretty creative today, aren't you?" And I can look at the sky and say, "Your artwork is magnificent today." And I can sit in my car before I go and see a patient and I can think to myself, "Well, Krishna, what do you got for me today?" And I go in and the mom says, "My son can't sleep at night and he's drinking a 21-ounce bottle of Pepsi." And I say, "Krishna, give me a break. You've given me so much material to judge and to make fun of this woman. And I've got to treat her respectfully because she is you." And so I've talked to this woman about the child drinking Pepsi many times. I don't know why. She never put it together that there was a sleep issue involved. And so in order to correct my thinking, but also because I learned that if I say this, she may ignore me in the moment, but at some point during the day, she'll think about these words. And I say to her, "Karen, I see the day that even if your son throws a temper tantrum, that you are able to set limits for him that are good for him and good for you." And I let it go. But I see something positive for her in that scenario. So I want to read you this story. And I know I've read you this story, but I'm reading it to you again because it's a story of a lesson not learned by me. So repetition might bring me there. And I thought maybe you would need to hear this story too. And it's called Potty Calls for Krishna. So 5,000-6,000 years ago, women had more than one husband in many cases. And she'd live with each one for a year. I'm not sure this could work for me. I couldn't handle one. So 5 might be way out of my league, but Draupadi was clearly more spiritually evolved. So Draupadi was married to the 5 Pandavas, these brothers, and she regarded all 5 equally as her husband. She loved all of them in the same way. And one day the 5 Pandavas were playing a dice game with their cousins, the Kauravas, and the Pandas had put everything they had into the game and lost everything. Because the other team, the Kauravas, had cheated and put magic on the dice. What else do you have? Now you don't have anything left. You can bet your wife and put your wife in the game. So the Pandavas said, not consulting her, okay, let's do that. She is a goddess, and maybe her Shakti, her spiritual energy, can change things for us. So they bet the poor woman. So in the game, the Pandavas lost everything, including their wife. So to humiliate the Pandavas, the Kauravas dragged Draupadi into the center of the game, and they started pulling at her sari. And not even the queen of the Kauravas could say anything because it was the law of the kingdom. And the Kauravas tried to pull the clothes off of Draupadi, but she was resisting. She's holding on to her sari as tightly as she can. And she calls to Krishna, and Krishna was her biological brother, and she calls Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. And she's calling him with so much faith and so much strength, but nothing happens. And Govinda did not come to her rescue. And finally, she lifts her arms into the air and she shouts, Govinda. And the moment she lifted her hands up and called, as they were pulling her clothes off, meters and meters of cloth kept coming. It was never ending. They could not remove her clothes. After that, the Pandavas and Draupadi were sent into exile in the forest. One day when they were in the forest, Draupadi said to Krishna, "Dear brother, it is not that I doubt you, but there's a question in my mind that I'd like to ask. You remember when the Kauravas were trying to remove my clothes and I called you several times, but you didn't come instantly. Why did it take so long for you to come to my rescue?" Krishna looked at her and said, "My dear sister, when you said Govinda, the moment I heard go, I left my palace. And when you said Vinda, I was already there. But when I arrived there, I saw you were hanging so much onto your clothes. How could I possibly help you? If you are calling me for help, you have to surrender to me. But if you're calling me for help and you really don't trust, I cannot help you." So I bought this house here in Berthoud. My son was living here at the time, and my plan was for this to be my retirement. So I was going to have, I'm walking distance to that new PGA golf course. It was going to be Airbnb. And then COVID arrives, and I think, people are traveling less, and I don't want people in and out of my house. I'm going to go a different route, and I'm going to do this traveling nurse thing. And I've had people contact me ready to move in, but they don't send me the money. And I say, you can't move in until I'm paid up front. Or people, I guess I would say scammers, saying, here's the check. I sent you the check, and they won't send it by PayPal. And you can deposit it, and please take a picture and send me a copy of the deposit slip. I'm like, oh, gee, I believe this could be another scam. And on it goes. So yesterday I said, I get it. I'm not supposed to be a tenant. And because I operate in the extreme in my mind as all or nothing, I say, I'm calling the realtor. I'm getting an estimate. I'm going to sell the house. As if there's nothing in between my plan and throwing away the baby with the bathwater. And I sat with that for a while and I thought, everything in the material world falls away. I must be too attached to this house. I'm just going to let it go. Within hours, I get contacted by 3 people that could show me the badge to the hospital they were working at in Longmont, who are ready to move in. And somebody moves in last night. And somebody wants to move in next week. And somebody else wants to rent a room as office space and not live here, but just have an office space for a business address. I think I let go of the sorry. And there it was, the silliest thing. And somebody can come into my house and I can smile and say, welcome, Krishna. Isn't that amazing? You know, like if I could do that in every moment, could you imagine how fabulous my life would be? Because think about the energy it takes to hold on to that sorry. You can't do anything else if your hands are holding on to all the material things around you or the outcome of how you think things should be with a business. You know, like working on a business and working full time. I'm holding on so tightly to both. How can it grow? And I thought, well, this is my test. And all this energy I'm putting into the business, it's valuable and I need to keep doing it. And yet I have to let it go and let it be what it, not be the, you know, I can have that floor plan I created, but it may turn right or left or look very different in the end. But if I'm holding on to it and needing it to match what's printed on the paper, it's not going to fly. So there's this poem, and I thought it was just such a beautiful analogy. And the poem is by a Sufi poet, Rumi. But in the story, when I was looking for the poem online, I found this story from a Muslim person. And again, it just confirms to me there is only one God, and a wise one knows God by many names. So I'm going to read you this little thing I just happened to find. And it's a young scholar of Islam was walking with an older, more seasoned scholar in the garden. Feeling a bit insecure about what Allah had in mind for him, he was asking the older scholar for advice. So as I read this story, you can imagine any, you know, Jesus or a saint or anyone, because it doesn't matter that they're Muslim or they refer to Allah here. The older scholar walked up to a rose bush and handed the young scholar a rosebud and told him to open it without tearing the petals off. The young scholar looked in disbelief at the older scholar and was trying to figure out what a rosebud could possibly have to do with wanting to know the will of God. But because of his great respect for the older scholar, he proceeded to unfold the rose while keeping every petal intact. It wasn't long before he realized that it was impossible to do. Noticing the young scholar's inability to unfold the rosebud without tearing it, the older scholar began to recite the following poem. It is only a tiny rosebud, a flower of Allah's design, but I cannot unfold the petals with these clumsy hands of mine. The secret of unfolding flowers is not known to such as I. Allah opens this flower so sweetly, but in my hand, it dies. If I cannot unfold a rosebud, this flower of Allah's design, then how can I have the wisdom to unfold this life of mine? So I'll trust in Allah for leading each moment of my day. I will look to Allah for his guidance each step of the way. The pathway that lies before me, only Allah knows. I'll trust him to unfold the moments just as he unfolds the rose. And it was such to find this at the last minute, you plan your talk and then the rose unfolds, so to speak. But just to even look at a rose, how tightly those petals are, and thinking for even a moment about how it unfolds into something so beautiful. Sometimes the colors change. It looks like a yellow rose, but as it opens, there's orange or another color with it. And you might have thought you picked a yellow rose, but something else unfolds. And allowing us to be in that space of allowing our lives to unfold, not with our controlling nature of how it should be, how we want it to be, how we think it should be, but just being present and allowing it. Something will be more beautiful than what my limited mind can create, because God is so unlimited. And I see a few possibilities where the divine has a million opportunities, a million ideas for me, and will choose the perfect one if I stay out of the way, which is always the trick. So doing these practices of thinking of God, not just in your morning prayers or Sunday at church, but finding God throughout your day for every moment that you can by looking at somebody. I don't really, with my mind for sure, see the divine in other people when somebody pulls ahead of me and steals the parking spot I was going into. But even if I can just say, Krishna, what are you thinking? I was going to park there. You know what I do? I laugh. Or I see somebody wearing plaid and paisley in the same outfit. And I say, Jesus, how did you put that number together? I laugh. Because if I don't look for the divine in that person, in that situation, my shoulders start moving up towards my ears. I'm tense, I'm crabby. I have nothing to give the world because I'm holding on to my sorry because I wanted it to be a certain way and it didn't go how I wanted. But when I let it go and I can laugh and say, Jesus, you stole my parking spot. Well, then I can laugh at myself. I can see that person completely differently when I get out of the car and I see them in the produce section of the store. And I find myself smiling behind my mask and with kids, it's so easy. If I make up my mind and set that intention to see the divine in them, the divine reveals themselves and the kids start giggling or playing or interacting in a certain way. But if I don't see the divine in them, if I don't look for it in them, then I'm blind to it. And so I'm going to give you an assignment this week to go to the grocery or wherever you are in your life and to just look at somebody and say, good morning, St. Francis, or whoever comes to mind, that saint or that form of God that comes to mind, and see if you don't find yourself smiling behind your mask and laughing. So for our meditation today, I just want you to kind of look at the screen and look at each person and say, good morning, Jesus, or good morning, Divine Mother, or good morning, Saint Anthony. And just take a second just to do that. And acknowledge the divine who is ever present everywhere at all times in each of ourselves. Notice if your body relaxes, if you smile. Think about the people that you live with or talk to or see routinely. And think of a time when they left the toilet seat up or left you a sink full of dishes or ate a cookie and left crumbs everywhere. And feel maybe the mild irritation that you feel when somebody does something like that. And then say, good morning, Jesus. As you do this practice, what I've noticed lately is I feel my heart opening when I'm acknowledging the divine within them and trusting that God is present in them. Like the rose, my heart starts to open. And I find it a little bit easier to see the divine and the next person I encounter, and in the next, and in the next. We have forgotten who we are. And this is a tool to remember, because as you see the divine in others, you are seeing it with your divine self. And it is the divine within you that is able to see the divinity in others. So say my favorite and most often used prayer, help, and let go of your sorry. And you can even, add the physical gesture when you're like struggling with something and you're feeling that tension and I don't want to go to the dentist or whatever it is in your day. Help. And let the sorry fall away. And allow God to rescue you. It is so, so simple. And yet we make it so hard. I make it so hard. I'll speak to myself on that one, but that trusting that I have so much to do. How can I possibly get it all done? Well, I can't. But the big I, when I let it all go, it falls into place. And I laugh at myself. I mean, I can look back over the things I've been holding on to and just laugh at myself, like, why did I make this a big ordeal? Or why did it take me 3 months to let it go? I could have been done with this, but it's my process and it's just the way it is. But at the end of your day, if you look back on your day, what did I do well? What did I not do so well? What am I holding on to? What have I let go? That simple 1-minute practice of reflecting before we go to bed at night. You can do it in a journal. You can do it just sitting quietly. The more you do that, the more you'll recognize those patterns in the moment. And it moves a little bit faster, the letting go piece and the judgmental nature of the mind, or whatever it is, whatever pattern you have that you don't want to do, but you've been doing it over and over. For me, everywhere I went, did I set that intention? Did I greet that person? Good morning, Krishna. Good morning, Jesus. Did I greet them as God in my mind's eye? And what's funny about this in a way to me is the further I go on the spiritual path, the more I recognize that people that don't know me the way most of you know me, like the people I work with, they just think I'm weird. And I just keep getting weirder. And I'll probably keep getting even weirder. And so it just makes me laugh. Like I'm like judging people constantly in my way when I'm not paying attention. And yet I'm very aware that people think she doesn't eat meat and she's this, or, she doesn't drink or smoke pot or whatever it is, like I just live differently than other people. And it just makes me laugh thinking like I'm judging them for whatever reason and knowing that they're judging me. And I don't know why. Sarcasm was my first language and just makes me giggle when I think about all these, the world, the way I have judged people. And but what's different now is like, I don't care, judge away. And if they think about me later and think, she seems happy though, she's weird, but she seems happy, then maybe they'll, look at something different. But I don't know. And I think sometimes when I see the divine in them, they start to see the divine in me, and they see that light and they see the love and my spirit shine through. And, it makes them curious. And they might think I'm weird, but they wonder. And I guess that's my dharma when I show up in the world. And it's getting to be kind of fun to just show up and have that attitude of a behavior that I would have judged harshly. To see the divine within them. And sometimes I think it changes the situation. Like I'll see somebody being short with their child at the store, and I say, good morning, Divine Mother. And something softens. The tone, there's a little bit of patience. I mean, I can't really measure it, but I'm very curious. So with that, that's your homework assignment, to look for and to, whether you see it or not, say good morning in your heart to whoever you greet, knowing that the divine lives within them. And so it is.
Thank you, Mother Teresa. And so Hildegard of Bingham, known as Christina, will play us music.
Whoa, that's a tall order.
It's so funny you should say that, because she has an ashram in Germany. And on my next trip, I'm planning to go there, but I want to go in the spring when all the herbs are in bloom, because she was a healer. So I'll tell you all about it, Christina Hildegard, when I go.
I'll be excited to hear about that. Sounds cool.
You can come along.
Shoot me an email and say I'm leaving on Thursday, and I'll let you know if I can come.
Okay.
There's a beautiful recording of Hildegard's work. It's called A Feather on the Breath of God. It's pretty amazing. So this is a song that I wrote a while ago. It's called I Just Am. And it makes me think of what you were saying, Jenny, that we have an emotional reaction to something, and you're reminding us to remember our divinity and the divinity of the people around us. And this song is about not identifying with your emotions. I am not my anger, I am not my happiness, I am not my comfort, I am not my sadness. I encompass all that is resides in me. I just am. The paradox of life, to hold without crushing, to have without possessing, to feel all your feelings and just be. I am not my anger, I am not my happiness, I am not my comfort, I am not my sadness. I encompass all that is resides in me. I just am.
Thank you so much. Very perfect for today. It's at this time that we go into our donation of love and light by taking a breath together and placing our hands on our heart, our physical heart, our sacred heart. We become increasingly aware of that light, that love that we are. We become aware of choosing to let go, to relax, to allow this light and love to expand beyond us, to be shared. We're not responsible for whom it is shared with. We are only responsible for opening up, letting go, and allowing it to expand. We can choose to do that again and again. Taking another breath together, we say thank you, thank you, And so it is. We'll finish with a piece of music.